The James Show Podcast.
Now, I am enjoying the shutdown. As a limited government guy, a guy who thinks government needs to shrink by about 90% at the federal level, I'll take any victory I can get. Anyone gets sent home in D.C. and we don't have to pay their salary for 5 seconds, I'll take that small little victory. But it's going to be an absolutely Pyrrhic victory at the other end of this because we're learning some really ugly lessons here. The thing I'm concerned about is this demonizing rhetoric about the shutdown and providing health care and killing kids. This is proving that these people haven't learned their lesson about, demonizing rhetoric. After the Trump assassination attempts, after the ICE shootings, after the church shootings, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, they're still throwing out completely reckless hyperbole. It's all but guaranteed to incite more violence against Team Red. They're not backing off. They're mashing the gas. That's what you should be concerned about here. Not that we're having a government shutdown, or not that, we might lose health care for illegals or whatever the heck. I mean, we'll get into that, and that's worth talking about, no doubt. However, if you just kind of zoom out and look, these people are continuing with the rhetoric. And I don't blame AOC for this. I don't blame Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi or any of the other politicians whose job it is to scare people into voting against their political opponents. Notice I say they're not scaring people into voting for them. Most Democrat voters I know are voting against Republicans. But in this situation here, it's the media that's supposed to hold them to account. Maybe academics, maybe other pundits out there, maybe people on social media, maybe your neighbor who's on Twitter. But when they can go out here and say, Republicans are killing children, and the media person on the other side of the interview doesn't go, stop it. Say, can we just tap the brakes on all that? No one's trying to kill children. I mean, unless you're like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, the average American person is not some psychopathic serial killer. Perhaps maybe they just want a smaller government. But when you do this incredibly dishonest thing where you intentionally mislead people out there into confusing healthcare coverage with healthcare treatment, then you can go out there and you can say statements that I guess can kind of sound true. They're definitely not true. And people are believing the lie. And so it's driving them into a spiral of hatred. And so these people that they've already been told their entire lives, they believe that you are a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, Nazi, literally Hitler, fascist. It just feeds into that, there's a confirmation bias there. And this is proving it so hard. AOC yesterday talking about how this shutdown is going to kill kids. Kill kids. Now, if this were true, then a rational person would say, well, it's time to go get a gun and take these guys out. It's better that, I assassinate some actual fascist Hitler-type people than let thousands, millions of kids die. Heck, I'll even go to prison for it, or I'll off myself when the cops show up, like the ICE coward did. Here she is yesterday.
And I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly. Because what I'm not going to do is tolerate 4 million uninsured Americans because Donald Trump decided one day that he wants to just make sure that kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance. That's what's not going to happen. And so if those senators think that we're having a shutdown because of me, they're free to enter my office and negotiate, because what we're not going to do is allow all of millions of people in this country to not be able to afford their insulin and their chemotherapy. So come strike a deal with me if that's what they really think is going on.
You're killing kids. You're killing kids. That is so irresponsible. That should not be allowed. And I'm not saying she should be thrown in jail. I'm saying everyone in the media should be calling her out. Stop it, because people believe her. I know you don't believe her. You don't fall for this. You know she's just saying whatever she can get away with in order to get ahead politically, in order to scare the crap out of people into supporting her side of the argument. But remember, I was showing you this yesterday. Well, let's go review how it started out with illegals can't get comprehensive Medicaid coverage to illegals can't get Medicaid coverage. And so it sounds like illegals can't get health care, which if you just chop it off right there and you don't add insurance or subsidies or programs or whatever, some people out there are slow. It paints a picture in their head that you and I want a world where illegals go to the emergency room. They're having a heart attack. They broke their leg. They were in a car wreck. They got, ate too much Tylenol. And we just want to turn them away and just let them die in the gutter. That's not what I want. That's not what you want. In fact, I don't know that that's anybody's plan out there. All I'm asking is to give them their own bill, to get treated just like I would or you would if we went to the hospital. If I go to the hospital, I get the bill. You know how I know? My kid went to the hospital a couple years ago. He had something wrong with his kidneys. We're going to be paying that off for 15 years. Hey, by the way, you want to know how much a helicopter ride from Buck Tussle to Children's Health cost? Children's Hospital, just 4 exits up from where I'm at right now. $42,000. Yeah, me and Miss Parker got some bills. Me and Miss Parker are drowning in bills. You don't know. I work 2 jobs, really 3. This isn't my only job. Miss Parker has a day job, and she does extra work on the side as well. We both put in about 60 hours a week. We have 4 children. We are drowning in debt. I am behind every single month, and I just eat it. And after we paid about $40,000 in taxes last year, AOC is going to take some of my money and give it to these other people who shouldn't even be here. I'm not asking that you don't treat them. I'm not asking that you kill kids. I'm just asking, stop giving me the bill, please. Stop giving you the bill. What the hell did we do to deserve this? We're not breaking any laws. Go out and they're not fighting for you. You know, I hate the way this is even worded, because from my point of view, as a guy who wants less government, I would say, who gets the credit in a shutdown? People are trying to, this is a Democrat shutdown. No, this is the Republican shutdown. What are y'all talking about? Well, shouldn't you be out there like, hell yeah, shut down the government? People have been asking for government cuts. That's the whole thing I campaigned on. People were beating down the door to try and at least curtail this by a little bit. So yeah. Why isn't anyone taking credit? I don't know. Let's ask an expert in political science from Tarleton State University. Dr. Bo Kabbalah is on the James Show. Welcome, Dr. Bo. Let's talk about that. Why is it considered...
Thanks, Mr. James, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So why is it considered blame for a shutdown? Why is one side always trying to blame the other one for a shutdown? I figured that'd be a bragging right.
Well, I think there's a quote unquote responsible point of view out there that suggests there's never a good reason to insist on a government shutdown. I think President Trump had a great reason in his first term when he insisted on government shuts down until there's funding for a border wall. I think it's true in terms of, in this situation, you've got something that's called the continuing resolution, and it's usually how Congress passes its budgets. And in this case, I think the Democrats are kind of insisting on undoing some things that are very popular with the American people that President Trump campaigned on and that he's been able to implement. So to the extent that Democrats are signaling they want to, make it easier for non-citizens to get Medicaid, they want to undo some of these Medicaid reforms as a precondition of reopening the government and allowing, some pretty basic services to be restored. I think inbuilt advantage President Trump for sure.
Well, Dr. Bo, we have this bill that to me looks like it's just a continuation of the last Biden budget with a couple of kind of scalpel cuts from the one big, beautiful bill. Is that the only change? Because that's the only one I see.
Well, in other words, the continuing resolution and it's the only bipartisan bill that, President Trump supports and that Leader Toon supported, that was also actually joined by 2 Democrats and an independent in the Senate. That's actually keeping in place some of these core changes that President Trump campaigned on and that the American people supported, like the Medicaid reforms in the big beautiful bill, like closing the loophole through which under the Biden administration, yes, non-citizens had an easier time getting Medicaid. So I think in this case, a continuing resolution, and President Trump and Republicans asked for a few more weeks before the budget would be finalized, in my opinion, was the responsible thing to do. And Democrats are trying to overturn that and undo the clearly expressed preferences of the majority of the American people.
All right, we're talking with Dr. Bo Kabbalah from poli-sci at Tarleton State University. What do the polls say? I just assume when politicians do something that seems irrational to me, that it's something that plays well in the polls.
I think the polls are going to be all over the place. You know how this works. You can find polls that lean one direction, that lean the other. My sense is this is an 80-20 issue. People, like you suggested, I think many are seeing the shutdown as an opportunity to further cut fat out of government. I mean, we're 37 trillion in the hole. So whatever the polls are saying, my read is this is one of Donald Trump's 80-20 issues, and he'll do quite well.
How long do you think it's going to last?
You know, the longest one, we've had 20 since the late 1970s. The longest one actually, I believe, went 35 days when President Trump insisted on accountability at the border. What I'm hearing, I think we might go a week, 7-8 days. Could be wrong, but that would be my prediction today.
Dr. Bo, how do we actually stop the growth of government? Because in my observation, if both parties are just continuing, the baseline budgeting where there's incremental increases every year, no matter what,
Yep.
How do we do that? It feels like we don't even have the choice to vote for that.
Well, great question. And in my opinion, Doge was a great start. I think unfortunate to see some of the back and forth with Elon Musk there. But to really go in and discover some of what that team of analysts did, I think was shocking to the American people. I mean, we don't need to be funding all kinds of surgeries in sub-Saharan Africa, and you've seen what was being funded. But I think cutting out foreign wars to the extent that's possible. I mean, military conflict can be incredibly expensive. So, we got to pay down some of our not just deficit, but debt. And, let's see what happens with a possible gold reevaluation. Let's see if there's some really creative tariff-related ideas that the Trump administration has. But I think they've got the right idea. And, this is not a shutdown that they brought on. But, by golly, there's fat to trim, and, there's plenty of work to do.
Well, when we have an air quote government shutdown, it seems like there's still a whole lot of government working right now at the federal level. What is it, like 80% still open?
Yes, and thank you for that. Precise. That's exactly right. So you've got furloughed workers who are considered non-essential, and we might have up to 800,000 who are told not to show up to work. But then you've got your essential border patrol, air traffic controllers, and so it is somewhat of a misnomer to say the government has shut down. I mean, yes, some clinical drug trials, small business administration applications are delayed somewhat. But to your point that, maybe this should be almost celebrated by people who want a responsible budget. I mean, essential services are ongoing. Great point. Yeah,
I absolutely celebrate it. All right, Dr. Bo Koala, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your time on the James Show.
Thank you, Mr. James. Thanks for having me.
All right, good stuff. See, professors don't get as worked up as I do about this. They're a lot more credible. I get so mad, man, because the thing that's ticking me off is the sticking point is illegals getting more of your tax dollars. And, it's super frustrating because they shouldn't be here in the first place. And I'm not saying they should die. I'm not saying they shouldn't get medical care. I'm just saying they should get the bill. And then you have to turn on the TV and have these people tell you to your face that's not what this is about. So let me start with the rundown here, and this will go for a couple of segments because I went through the Audiotron 3000, and there's just all kinds of damning audio clips. First, let's see how we got here. How are American people out there conflating the idea that cutting someone off of Medicaid makes them die? I can walk you through that. Hakeem Jeffries, the guy who's in charge for the Democrats in the House of Representatives, was saying earlier this year that illegals can't get comprehensive coverage for Medicaid. Now, they can still get their emergency bills paid from Medicaid or other bills paid, just not comprehensive.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage.
Okay,
Not one.
So he called it comprehensive Medicaid coverage. If you take the word comprehensive out of it, that's not a true statement anymore. Yes, illegals absolutely are getting tax dollars toward their Medicaid coverage. It's not the comprehensive part of Medicaid. And so then they switched out the word Medicaid for health care. And then if you take out health care coverage and just say health care, now you are telling people, and people are hearing it, that Republicans want illegals to not get health care. And if you think I'm making that up, here's her name's Dr. Annie Andrews. She's running against Lindsey Graham for his seat in South Carolina. Here she is, just going off on something that's completely not true, scaring the crap out of people. And I think she knows this is a lie.
This thing that J.D. Vance said today, I can't stop thinking about. Take a listen.
In the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens?
So, J.D., I have some news for you. Physicians, me and all my physician colleagues all across this country, we're not like you. We chose a profession where we wake up every day to help people. We're not self-serving. Nothing you can say or do is ever going to stop one of my physician colleagues from providing care to a sick or injured person who shows up at the doorstep.
All right, stop it. You'll hear the rest of this after the break. But look, there she is. No one is saying don't give them health care. They're just saying don't make the taxpayers pay for it. That's all. And if you don't get that, then you're not qualified to run for Senate or even be a doctor, Annie. Sometimes I just can't help it here, especially when we're talking about this healthcare stuff, when we're talking about a shutdown, when we're talking about $37 trillion in debt, and y'all just want to stack another $2 trillion on it. Both parties are cool with $2 trillion deficits. That ticks me off. It should tick you off, too. Look, if you had saved $100,000 in your IRA or 401k up to year 2020, that only buys $75,000 worth in 2025 right now. You have been robbed of 25% of all of your retirement savings. You're cool with that? You've been given a 25% pay cut. You didn't do anything wrong. You okay with that? Both parties are screwing you so hard. Democrats are only trying to screw you a little bit harder. Just a little bit harder. They can't even cut out your taxpayer dollars going to medical care for illegal immigrants, people who shouldn't be here anyway. Criminals. Their very presence in this country is breaking the law, and they should be rewarded for it with your tax dollars. Do you really know how much you pay in taxes? Do you really know? Because some people will say, well, yeah, I'm in like the 20% tax bracket. Or some people are like, well, I got some deductions. I'm in the 12% tax bracket. Dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. Even if you do just have it down to the 20% tax bracket, which isn't that much. That's for like a household of 100-something thousand. So if you and your spouse works and y'all are taking the standard deduction, there's a pretty good chance you're in that 20% bracket. But on top of that, you have to pay 13% in Social Security taxes. You have to pay another, 2-3% in this Medicare, Medicaid. So we're already up to 35%. And then out of your mortgage that clocks every month, a few hundred of that has to go to your state and local property taxes. So now you're up to 40% of your income? And when you pull in the sales tax, the gas tax, all the little chintzy taxes on your utility bills, on your phone bill, you're getting gouged for about 40% of your income because of all of these stupid programs. And the culprit on all of these is socialism. They're all social programs that are strangling us to death. Whether it's free health care, Medicare, Medicaid, all the stuff for illegals, CHIP, children's health care. You have unemployment insurance, which is just flat out socialism. You have socialized schools, public schools. If we got rid of the socialism here, not only would we balance the budget, you would get a 40% raise. You understand that? And neither party's fighting for that for you. And one party's just lying to your face. Lying to your face. You're going to kill kids. Republicans don't want illegal immigrants to get health care. I'm going to continue with this clip from Dr. Annie Andrews, who's not just a doctor. She's also running to get Lindsey Graham's seat in the next electoral cycle. But before we get back to that, let's just go back a few years to the Democrat primary debate in 2020. And you have about 12 candidates on the stage. I don't even remember all these people, but Pete Buttigieg is in there. Joe Biden is in there. I believe Kamala Harris was in there. They're asked, do you support health care for illegals? Raise your hand. Every single person on the stage raised their hand. And the people in the audience clapped.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Is there any more solid case that these people are okay with the idea? They support the idea. They advocate for the idea of taking money from you and giving it to an illegal so they don't get their own medical bills. Now let's go back to Dr. Annie Andrews, because this went viral. I can't believe millions of people have seen this like it's actually a legit statement because it's all lies.
This thing that J.D. Vance said today, I can't stop thinking about. Take a listen.
In the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens?
See, notice he said health care benefits paid for by American citizens. He doesn't say, why do they get health care treatment and then cut it off there. He's not even advocating that they don't get treatment. He's just saying, why do we have to pay for their treatment? Anyway, and then she continues with this just total straw man lie.
So, JD, I have some news for you. Physicians, me and all my physician colleagues all across this country, we're not like you. We chose a profession where we wake up every day to help people. We're not self-serving. Nothing you can say or do is ever going to stop one of my physician colleagues from providing care to a sick or injured person who shows up at the doorsteps of an emergency department. Also, side note, emergency departments are legally required to provide emergency care to anyone who shows up at their doors because of a law called EMTALA, which was signed into law under Ronald Reagan's presidency. Ronald Reagan signed this compassionate bill, which legally requires emergency departments to provide emergency care to anyone, regardless of their insurance status, regardless of their immigration status. And I dare you to try to stand in the way of an emergency medicine physician and a sick or injured patient.
No one's trying to do that. You understand that? No one is trying to do that. Now you're thinking, who could believe this? It's quite obvious. She just built a straw man and tore it up. No one's advocating for that. But here it is. Here's another viral video of someone who believes people like Annie Andrews, believes AOC, believes Hakeem Jeffries, believes what the MSNBC people say.
When Republicans tell their MAGA voters that Democrats are fighting for health care for illegal immigrants, I mean, does that make sense to them? What would be the upside?
You tell me.
I'm one of the people the Democrats are fighting for their health care because I'm on the Affordable Care Act, because I own a small business and I have for 15 years. I'm actually working right now in my garage, packaging things up. It's not a glamorous job. And I get my health care that I can afford for my family off the Affordable Care Act. And the premium is about to go up 85%. Why would Democrats be fighting for health care for illegal immigrants, people who are here undocumented? Those people are afraid to go to work right now. They're not going to hospitals and doctors' offices, and it's already illegal for them to get health care through Medicaid. That's not something that exists. And they're rounding these people up and sending them out of the country. What would be the upside for Democrats to fight for that? I mean, I just want to know, how does that make sense to them? How do they just hear that and believe it? Democrats are fighting for health care for U.S. citizens like myself. And
they don't live in the same world you live in. They have a different set of truths. They have this fantasy land. How could anyone believe Democrats would support health care for illegals? I don't know. Maybe because I saw the Democrat debate in 2020 where they all raised their hands when they were asked about it. No wonder they keep shooting at us. No wonder Charlie Kirk got murdered. No wonder why they're shooting at ICE facilities. They're lying about us. The hyperbolic rhetoric continues. We're being painted as soulless, dehumanized Nazis, and it's not stopping, even after all the violence you've been seeing. And it's even worse with this shutdown rhetoric. And it's very dehumanizing. And all the violence you've seen, it's going to continue. There's going to be more Charlie Kirks. Heck, I might just start walking around in bubble wrap myself. And did you catch the very beginning of her little retort? If you're just joining us, I was playing this lady, Dr. Annie Andrews. She went viral this week talking about how J.D. Vance wants illegals to die and doctors are better than that. We're not like you. It's very dehumanizing. And when we talk about inciting violence, this is the kind of rhetoric I'm talking about. Just the first 15 seconds of this.
This thing that J.D. Vance said today, I can't stop thinking about. Take a listen.
In the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens?
So, JD, I have some news for you. Physicians, me and all my physician colleagues all across this country, we're not like you. We chose a profession where we wake up every day to help people.
Yeah, we're not like you. We're good people. You're a bad person. Dude, why don't you just find the nearest crazy person and hand him a 30-06? Are you going to engrave the bullets for him too? Damn. Hey, this is Donna in Dallas. Hey, Donna, you're on WBAP.
Oh, hey. What I wanted to tell you, well, every time I call you, I'm always saying, oh, my God, everything comes up. I'm listening to that idiot, excuse me, and I'm kind of shocked that she actually went online and aired that information. But I think that you're right that people like that are inciting violence, and you might need to wrap yourself. That might be a great idea for everybody. I'm kind of terrified myself.
Well,
anyway,
at this point,
what she said was nuts. What she said was absolutely. And the thing that got me more was like, how can they say that when it's not true?
Oh yeah, the other lady, right?
Hello, yeah, hello, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that they have done that before.
Yeah,
and still are doing it. Yeah.
I love the fake shock there. Like, how can they say it if it isn't true? It's like, are you kidding? That's their bread and butter. They told you the stock market was crashing 4 months ago. 6 months ago, they told you we were in a recession. We're not. A year ago, they told you Biden was sharp as a tack. The year before that, they told you vaccines work. The year before that, they told you Jussie Smollett got mugged. I mean, it's all. Before that, I mean, when I was born, they were telling you, hey, let's build trains and have a public bus system. It'll improve traffic in Dallas. This is John and Kemp. You're on WBAP.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call, James. I just wanted to tell you, thank you for explaining it to me. A simpleton like me, I didn't realize that they had changed just a few words to camouflage it, however you want to put it, so that people can't understand that it is actually paying for illegal immigrants. You know, I wish J.D. Vance, when he came out, and I love that guy, and I hope he runs for president in 28 because I will vote for him. He normally puts out everything very clear. I wish he would have just said, hey, they changed these words. He kind of did, but he didn't go all the way into it to explain it to the American public that, hey, they really are lying about this. This is how they were going to change it. Anyway, that's all I've got to say.
Well, thank you. I take that as a huge compliment, John, because that's really what I try to do here is like, can I take these complex ideas and distill them down? And I've got about 6 minutes to do it before you get to where you're going or there's the next commercial break. And I really wish everyone could just hear that rundown of how they have used the rhetoric to intentionally mislead people to make half the country thinks that you, because you support Team Red policies, want illegals to die. They think you're that heartless. They think you're just a cold-blooded sociopath. They think you're literally a fascist or an idiot that's duped by these people. All right, coming up next on The James Show, we have a special guest. In fact, someone had just put a message up on the Facebook a second ago. Yeah, Ellen said, hey, here's something you may want to talk about. TCU canceled a Turning Point USA speaker because she's a detransitioner. Yeah, she's going to be on the show next on The James Show. Seriously, Chloe Cole. If you haven't heard this story, it's going to break your heart. You'll meet Chloe Cole, and now the battle for TCU. Is it still a Christian university? That's next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.